Look for the long balls, but at the same time, I like to keep possession, play into the gaps. I like to play forward. And, when we have the ball, yeah, I want us to keep it. That's the main goal. And just play like attractive football. So once we have it, I want us to keep it, first pass, regain possession, and just look for, the right passes into the right spots to create plays. So, yeah, no, I definitely think, like, from the fantasy side, I think definitely a good pick. That's one thing I'm taking pride in. I want to score more goals. Trying to be like a Van Dijk threat on attacking set pieces. So that's really what I want to do. If I'm playing on grass, turf, sand, dirt, whatever it is, if I'm playing football, the ball's on the field, I'm going to compete regardless.
Right. Julian Dunn. What a pleasure it is to have you with us, mate. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me. It means a lot. I'm really excited to be on here. Like I said, haven't really got an opportunity to speak to anyone about my transition over here. So when you guys came and you guys wanted to chat with me, I was really excited. So, thanks for having me.
The feeling is mutual, and I think that's obvious for anybody listening. Obviously we spoke to Tom on our first episode. You'll know him as well, your new assistant manager.
Yeah.
And he had a big part to play in hooking us up, so we appreciate Tom. So shout out to Tom for that.
Shout out to Tom.
But yeah, look, we're really excited to have you here. We want to speak to as many people in the sport as possible. So having someone like you, like a young talent as well, fresh to the league, yeah, that's a big coup for us. So yeah, we're really excited to get chatting. Right, start from the beginning. You're from Toronto, Ontario.
Yes.
So, as is the case with quite a lot of professional footballers, with a lot of professional footballers, usually football plays a big part of their life from an early age. Was that the case with you? Like, was a lot of youth projects there in Ontario? Was it something that you got into as a kid?
Yeah, I started playing football from, 6 years old. 6 years old, I was playing football for a small club out there called Vaughan Soccer Club. They're still around now. So yeah. It's a club that's over there. I played most of my youth career there. Had a great program, pretty prestigious program, great coaches. And then as I got older, that's when in Canada, academies started coming into the picture. So I want to say, let me see, around 13, 14, academies started coming into the picture. I was still with Vaughan, tried out for Toronto FC Academy. It started up.
Yeah.
Didn't make it initially because I was still growing. They said come back when I'm better. I had Osgood-Slatters, which is like a knee disorder when you're growing. Your body's not keeping up with your muscles. Yeah. So it's a lot to manage when you're a young kid. So then
so you had that as a kid. That was something that held you back as a kid. But something that you had to overcome on that journey to becoming a professional footballer.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, okay.
And not too many people know that. So then, I tried out for TFC, didn't make it. I was still with Vaughan. Then at a certain point, I made a transition from Vaughan to Brampton, that's where at Brampton, that's when I had like great coaches. No disrespect to Vaughan, but the program kind of started falling off, and I thought I needed something that was more competitive. So I went over there.
Yeah.
Did my thing there, and then from there, that's when things really started picking up. I got my call into the youth national team, and then everything else started falling.
Yeah, like it all fell into place at that sort of time.
Yeah, for sure.
Then you called up Toronto and said, "I told you so."
It was something like that. More so, those guys they called me actually. So once I got my call into the national team, that's when I actually got my call back up to Toronto FC.
There's a bit of vindication there that from both sides, I guess, because they were like, "Oh, you're still progressing. You need to carry on," and that's exactly what you did. You were pushed on, and you proved them wrong and maybe right in the sense that you needed to improve, but that all came from you. That wasn't pushed onto you from anyone else. That's something that you had to do yourself, which I think that's one of the things that I've picked up on about your attitude. Like, I know that you're one of those centre halves that is going to throw himself into as much as he can. Like, isn't gonna be afraid of clattering into the post or taking a boot to the face. You are there to win the ball, and that's what you're going to do. And I think that's reflected in your early involvement with football. You've had this approach where I've got this issue with my knee, and I either carry on and push through it and become the footballer that I know I can become, or I give up. And the give up wasn't even an
exactly
option.
What it was.
Yeah. It just wasn't even a thought in your head. You probably thought about it for a second and thought, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no, of course, there was moments, but, when you just have that dream, you just go after it. And, you just keep going until one day things just start falling into place. So that's exactly what happened. So what was it? The national team, I got the call up at 15. We had a camp over in Mexico. And then, so 15 years old, that's when I got called up into the Toronto FC cycle, so the academy.
How does that work in your head as a 15-year-old? Because as a 15-year-old, I think I was playing Pogs or something, or I don't even know what I was doing as a 15-year-old. That was 20 years ago. So as a 15-year-old, to have the national team there, and to obviously what you've been through as well prior to that, that must be a lot going on in your head, a lot of pressure, a lot of conflicting thoughts. How do you deal with that at such a young age?
Yeah, obviously, a lot was going through my head. I was really excited first to make the national team, and then after, I come back from the national team, get a call in to the Toronto FC Academy. It meant a lot to me. For me, I always had a good support system. My family was always behind me, reminded me to stay level-headed and just take everything one step at a time. Never
that's definitely key.
Get too high and never get too low. So, that's exactly what I did. And, it really helped me, and it's continuing to help me in my career just to manage all the highs and lows. So that's kind of how I managed it.
And looking back at your time at Toronto, it's quite like back, forth, academy, B team, A team, back down. Yeah. How did you find that whole aspect of it? Did you ever find it demoralizing, or was it just another motivation to keep progressing and keep getting better as a player?
It's a bit of both. Obviously there's going to be days where, you don't really agree with what's going on. It's tough for any athlete when, your main goal is to play with the first team and, it's not really happening. You still have to stay grounded, and you have to stay driven and make sure that regardless of what the situation is, you're still going to go put your best foot forward and try and get the most out of any situation. So that's exactly what I tried to do in all of the situations. But like I said, it's definitely tough. And there's going to be the days where it's like, man, I wish things could have went this way or things could have went that way. But, you just have to know the reality and just take it step by step.
Yeah, and I think that's really good advice in general for young people, not just about football, but just like in relation to being a kid. You've got all these thoughts going on in your head. You've got these ideas of what you want to do with your life and not knowing where you want to be. Like, as long as you're moving in some direction, that's better than that is better than inertia, and I think
for sure.
And I think with you, and obviously like a lot of other footballers and sports people and all those kind of specialist people, you've had that interest from such an early age that it's the primary focus of your thoughts. So it's a bit easier to attach yourself to it, but the required application to get good at it is obviously incredible. It's an incredible amount of effort that needs to be put into it. For sure. But being part of the Canadian youth setup, being surrounded by other talented players that have come through and are still coming through the system, because obviously we say that, you were part of it. I mean, you're still only 21. It's not like you're 30 or something, so come on, man. I mean, the Canadian national team, we love them. We've been talking about them. Yeah, it's great to see them qualifying and pushing on so much. What is the atmosphere like there? What's going on?
Yeah, no, it's a crazy time. It's a real crazy time, especially right now. The guys just qualified, spoke to some of them, and we're just congratulating them from over here as watching it, me and Clement. So it's really big for us. It's something all of us dream of, and it's really good for the whole Canadian soccer nation because it's really pushing the nation. Everyone's getting more involved, and like before, when you mention football in Canada. Not too many people are really turning their heads and opening their eyes, but you know, the team managed to do that. And we gained a lot of attention, and now we're going to Qatar.
It's only a good thing.
No, it's huge. It's huge.
It's only a good thing for the league. I mean, like
one thing I was interested about regarding like at club level, like obviously it boosts the morale when you're playing like with the national team, with the youth team. But is there a difference in the way it affects morale at a club like Toronto in the MLS, surrounded by clubs who are mainly based in the States? Do you find a boost in morale at the club?
Of course. You know, all the guys, even I saw like some videos and footage. All the guys were like supporting the team, backing the team, and you had like all the players, no matter where they were from, they were there representing Toronto and they're cheering on the national team. So, you know, it definitely boosted morale for sure.
Do you think it's going to have a big impact on the Canadian Premier League? Because I don't know much about it, but I was looking into it the other day, and I thought I'd gone to the wrong page because it only showed me 8 teams. And I was like, well, this can't be it, surely. And I was also confused because I was thinking, well, you're at Toronto, but they're an MLS side. But Toronto's in Canada. And the whole thing is confusing to me, basically. But I suppose with the newfound success at international level, you would hope that there's a bit more money, a bit more investment thrown at the CPL, and it can develop.
I definitely
bigger competition.
I definitely think it's going to bring, you know, the level of just Canadian football in general up. You know, it's definitely going to change the whole atmosphere. I think you're going to have more kids wanting to get into football, which is only going to produce better players. And it's definitely going to filter into, say, the CPL and other Canadian teams. You know, the league's going to get better. And now that Canada's going to a World Cup, a lot of investors most likely are going to want to come and invest into the CPL because they see that, you know, Canada has talent. So it's great for the league.
How did the move to HamKam come about? Because we've been talking about this and we were thinking, well, that's such a random move. Like, you're in Canada and then you just decide one day, I'll just go and play in the Elite Syrian. Like,
I'm off to Norway.
No, honestly, the move to HamKam, it happened through, so I knew Theo Bear, which was actually with the club the year before when we were in Obus. So then, me and Theo are close. You know, we played together on the national team. And then I kind of was following up with him. So I was watching the team a bit. I was watching some of his games and then saw his post when the team got promoted to Elite Syrian. And I knew for me, my time with Toronto was coming to end. I was coming to the end of my contract. And I knew, like, with everything that was going on, I just wanted something bigger. And I always aspired to play in Europe. So once I saw they were getting the promotion, I was like just shooting around with Theo, and I was talking to him like, hey, listen, you know, if you guys ever need a center back, you know, just give me the shout. And then Theo's like, you're being serious? And I'm like, yeah, you know, my contract's coming to an end and, you know, I just need to see what options are on the table. So then, you know, Theo went back, he spoke to the coach and he spoke to Espen. It just happened to be that, we had a game. And with Toronto, I wasn't playing too much. So the game that I happened to play was the game that Theo told them to watch. And I was in the roster. I had a really good game against, you know, a good front three, one of the best front threes in the MLS. And I did a good job. So then from there, I was talking to Theo and he's like, yeah, you know, they're going to talk to your agent. Things are going to happen. So then everything started picking up. And then, you know, the end of the year comes and I'm talking to my agent and then we were just sorting out like logistics and all those things. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I could definitely see myself playing in Norway because I've been to Denmark before on like a little, not a trial, but a training stint with Nordsjælland. And I know like Denmark, Norway, it's not like too far off, like say with Superliga and you have Elite Syrian. So the level, I'm like, yeah, I definitely could go over there and play. So that's how it all happened. I definitely want to be in Europe long term, you know. As a kid, grew up watching European football, you know, always wanted to be in Europe. It means a lot for me, my family. So just to kind of see what other Canadians have done in Europe, it definitely is motivating a lot of the other guys to kind of make the move abroad and see what we can do over here and make a name for ourselves.
So before the move to HamKam, had you heard of either Jakob or Tom before?
No, I actually didn't hear of either of them. The funny thing is, one of my buddies that was over at TFC with me from before Brandon Anthony, he actually played under Jakob. So then once I heard Jakob was coming over to the team, that's when I spoke to him. He's like, yeah, great guy. You know, you're going to like him. Big emphasis on defending. So I'm like, okay, sounds great. And then I got to get to know both of them once they came over, and, you know, you see what's happening with the team. Team's going in the right direction. Everything's happening. So everyone's happy.
I mean, I am primarily a Rosenborg fan, and we pinched HamKam's previous manager. So there's a bit of it's not too harmonious between them. But I'm not really a tribal fan. You know, I don't have any ties to, you know, like Trondheim or whatever. It's just I'm a Rosenborg fan because I remember supporting them and liking them when I was probably 15, you know, 14, 15. So it goes back quite a while with me. But yeah, we are primarily fans of the Elite Syrian. That's our main focus. So Sam Adekugbe is smashing it for Canada lately. He looks so good.
Sam's a baller, man.
And he's smashing it like at his new club as well. Like he's just looking really, really decent. Do you know him? do you talk to him much? Much communication?
I don't talk to Sam too much, but I know him, and, you know, kudos to Sam. Sam's balling out. He's doing his thing. He's killing it. Like, even in the game yesterday, Sam's just complete baller. And I remember the cycle before when Sam scored that like late minute, like crazy goal where he just went through the whole team, scored by himself. So Sam's killing it, and he's balling. So, you know, all credit to Sam, man.
Did his good experiences in the Elite Syrian contribute to your thoughts moving over at all, or any discussion you had with him, or was that just completely a separate part of it?
No, it was a separate part of it. I didn't actually speak to Sam, but I saw what he was doing here, and I saw the steps that he was taking and how it helped his career. So I'm like, I definitely could, you know, see myself doing the same thing. And then the person that I actually did speak to played for Volvenga also, but a while back. Pamadou Ka. So so me and him were pretty close. So when I was thinking about the move over to Norway, I spoke to him. I'm like, and he's like, you know, it's going to be tough, but it's definitely a good league for, you know, young guys to get into and make a name for themselves.
So I think one of the biggest challenges that you're going to face, like a lot of other players who are new to the Elite Syrian, is the change in playing surface. Obviously, the MLS, pretty much every team now on natural grass. And you come over to the Elite Syrian, and it's definitely the inverse of that. Is that something that you're a little bit apprehensive about, or are you just happy to sort of get stuck in and try and hit the ground running?
No, you know, I'm just happy to get stuck in. You know, if I'm playing on grass, turf, sand, dirt, whatever it is, if I'm playing football, the ball's on the field, you know, I'm gonna
on the side of a hill, you're fine.
I was gonna say
it doesn't matter.
He's a centre back. He'll play on concrete if he has to.
Yeah. Obviously, you know, you're gonna have to take more steps to recover after, but, you know, football's football, and when the ball's there, you know, you have somewhat of a decent playing surface. You know, we're gonna do what we have to do. So I don't think that's going to be too much of a big difference.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear, because you do get certain players that don't want to play on artificial turf, like, say, Alex Tettey, for example, when he rejoined Rosenborg. He had no intention of playing on artificial surfaces, so he was only available for a few games in the season, you know. So, yeah, it's always nice to hear a young player coming into the league not really, you know, fussing too much about that. It's like, well, you know, I don't care where I'm playing. I want to play football. And
sure.
You know,
not at the forefront of your mind.
No, that is always nice to hear, because that's always the thing that I think, is there going to be that transition period where it's going to have to adapt to, like you say, having to put more in to cover the same ground, to recover the ball, to hit the ball forward, sort of thing. So yeah, obviously hearing a player come in and say that really doesn't bother them, that's always a massive boost of confidence and expectation.
Aside from the turf, more in the style of football in the Elite Syrian relative to where you've played before, do you expect any new challenges and having to adapt to them accordingly? Or is your plan just go in, play my game, do it as I always have, and come out with the end product?
You know, that's a bit of it, but obviously, you know, you still have to analyze a bit and see how teams are playing. That's what, you know, I'm into. I'm always on time about getting me footage so I can watch how teams are playing, and Tom's really good with that.
Yeah, I
so
like that.
It's a bit of both, but obviously I'm gonna do my thing regardless of who I'm going up against and what type of football we're playing. I will adapt, and I'll continue to just thrive. So that's really how I see it.
So like, you've not been here long, but what are the biggest differences that you've experienced when it's come to coaching and training sessions? Because I imagine when you're moving from a team like Toronto, they're obviously they're a bit of a bigger team in terms of the money behind them. I know they're not a small MLS club. I know they're not the biggest, but they've got a lot of money there. Are there any huge differences in terms of like training facilities, like the attitude of the coaches, training sessions?
Yeah, obviously coming from a bigger club, there's definitely like a big difference in training facilities and things like that. Toronto, they have a lot of money. They can afford to have the top of the top facilities and all the amenities that you may need. But for coaching, every coach has a different mindset, and every coach, has their own type of playing style. So I'm not really saying, I don't think there's a big difference with the coaching. We're going to get after it. The coach is going to tell us what he wants us to do, and then it all comes down to if we can perform on the pitch and execute the plan.
Surely.
So that's what it is. But like I said, for the training facilities and those type of things, you're going to see a big difference.
Yeah.
Obviously, with a smaller budget, you can't afford to have all the things Toronto might have.
But you would say that the coaching is the more important aspect of those two things. You would rather
for sure. Coaching's definitely.
Yeah.
I'd rather have
So even if you've got
great coach, then
So even if you've not got the best, state of the art training facilities, if you've got those decent coaches in place, that's actually going to be more beneficial to you.
Yeah, of course.
Than all the other things.
That's how it is, anywhere. If you have a great coach and the players are behind the game plan, then regardless of what type of conditions you are in, you can do great, and you can do great things. And that's what I plan for the team to do. That's what everyone, sees happening. So
yeah,
that's exactly how it's going to go.
How about the rest of the staff hierarchy at the club? Because I remember when we were talking to Tom, and Charlie's very much into his data analytics, and Tom was saying that's just not really a thing in the Elite Syrian at this point in time.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a big difference with that sort of setup? The number of staff?
No, there's definitely a big difference. Yeah. So I'm trying to think. In Toronto, it was a pretty big staff. There were a lot of people on the field. You probably have, like, from the staff, you probably have like maybe 6 to 7 2 physios. You have like a team of 4 coaches, and then other people that are just helping everything go smoothly. So it's a big difference. Obviously, there's Tom Yekup, and then we have our 2 physios, and then other guys that are helping. But on the field, you have a lot more people back in the MLS that are there.
Yeah.
But like I said before, the show is gonna go on regardless.
Yeah,
one person, people, it's gonna go on.
Definitely.
It's all about the quality. Yeah.
So you were saying that there's more staff, there's more people involved in the setup over there. And obviously, as James just touched on there, data analytics and that sort of side of the game isn't huge in the Elite Syrian at the moment. Was that more prevalent when you were at Toronto? Was that quite a big part of it? Were you presented with your stats and KPIs and what you're doing well, what you need to improve on? Was that part of your coaching and training setup, or?
Yeah, so we would have like video sessions, and then we have like someone that's dedicated to like all the data analysis and that type of stuff. So whenever you wanted something, you just go to that person and they will get you all the clips you wanted, all the stats, whatever it may be. So I know they weren't too big on it, but there will be certain times where they'll like show where certain teams lack and where certain teams are good at what we're good at. And then we'll compare and we'll say, yeah, if we can take away from a team in this area where they lack, then we should be good in the season. So it was more so just comparing ourselves to other teams and seeing where we can take points and, where we could be better. So it was more so like
So in terms of HamKam specifically, what do you think we can expect from them as a team and from yourself as your role in that team achieving their goals this season?
Yeah, it's gonna be a good season. That's what I can definitely tell you. It's gonna be a good season. You can expect a team that, is gonna defend, and then when our opportunities come, we're gonna attack and go after teams. We like to play in, the opponent's half of the field and really get after them. We have some real good ball players. And, defensively, we have a solid defensive line and everyone's just ready to go and everyone is on the same page. So, it's just great. It's great to come into a team where everyone is just on the same page. You have no egos and everyone's just there for the same common goal, which is just to compete and win and just, keep the team up in Elite Syrian and actually be, a team that competes and does well.
And your role in that, do you expect to be playing week in, week out?
Yeah, that's the goal. I expect to be playing week in, week out, helping the team secure wins, clean sheets, and just, be solid at the back. Coming from a bigger club, I kind of take on a bit of a leadership role. I know there's a lot of younger guys in the defensive line. Like we have Halvor and other guys that say are my age, but not with as much experience. So, I definitely can help them there. And, all of us are just ready to grind. That's one thing about us. We're all there and we just grind it out. And that's what you can see. We grind out wins. Yeah.
It's amazing hearing you talk about it. Like you're only 21 and you're talking about it as if you're one of the senior players.
I was getting a strong captain vibe.
Some players are coming through.
I've been getting a strong captain vibe throughout all of this. I've been listening and I'm thinking the way that you're talking, you are talking like a player that wants to be, not necessarily even looks to be a leader, but just has that natural sort of quality about them.
For sure.
Quite calm and relaxed. And, we've been, I'm just going to, brag a little bit here, but we've been texting a little bit, and I get a very chilled out sort of vibe from you sort of thing. But then also when we get talking about stuff, you're, you know what you expect from yourself. You know what others expect from you. And you know that when it comes to that time, you are switched on. And that's the difference, you see. Like a lot of people confuse that sort of levity and relaxed approach with, maybe, not being as strong or serious and, domineering. But actually, when you need to be, that's exactly what you are. And I think that's what makes a really good leader, because then people actually, you sound like the kind of person that when you're speaking, people are going to be listening, because they're going to expect you to say something that is going to be important. And I think just from the few clips that I've seen of you playing, you are that person that even if your team's letting you down, you are going to be running towards that goal line to stop the ball. That ball is not getting past you. Doesn't matter what you have to do to get there. You're going to make that commitment. And I think for a team like HamKam, they need players like that. It's a young squad, relatively inexperienced. That's fine, but someone like you in there is only going to be beneficial to that back line. And is being a captain in your plans in your career? Like, is that something that you think about, or is it just a case of you just taking every game?
Right now, it's just about just playing football, getting more games. Maybe if the time comes, and I could definitely help. One thing I'm big about is helping the younger guys. I was once one of the younger guys. I still am a younger guy, but once you start picking up experience, you want to help the younger guys that you see can do better and continue to do better in their career. So that's one thing that I take pride on. And that's why I'm really tough. Like for me, one of the toughest guys, I'm really hard on Halvor, because I see the potential he has. He's just an unbelievable player. Like he's a really strong player, and I'm just on him all the time. Like if you were to talk to him, he would tell you that, I'm pretty tough on him, but it's because I see how strong of a defender this guy is, and he's younger than me, and I see this guy's body type, and I'm like, shoot, man, this guy's definitely going to be a big player. But back to the captain question, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe one day I'll kind of start focusing on that, but for right now, just want to play football and just help out the guys around me.
So this is something that I think about this quite a bit whenever a new player joins the team, especially when they join from another league. Do you expect to have to adapt to the different style of football, Or do you think it's that universal that you can slot into the position that you're used to playing, and it's just about adapting to the players around you rather than the style of football itself?
I kind of say it's a mixture of both. Like for me, I'm used to playing in 4-3-3. Over here, we're playing 3-5-2. So obviously there's a bit of difference there. We're playing with three at the back. So I kind of have to adjust the format. But let's I want to say, like, for the style of football, football's football. You can pick up the tactics, you take time, you analyze, and then you'll get it. So, it's nothing serious. It's nothing that's going to take like a lot of time. And I think I've been doing a good job. The team's still coming together and the team's still like picking up on everything. So I think that's like another thing that helps me, because it's still a lot of moving pieces and we had like a new team. So everyone kind of started from, stage one, and no one really already knew what was going on. We had a new coach. So everyone's at scratch and we all like kind of building this up together. So that really helps.
See, and I think that you're going to benefit HamKam quite a bit, and he's going to benefit you quite a bit.
Yeah,
because I think you're both extremely talented young central defenders, and I think both of you have got the potential to obviously move on from the elite Syrian. But at the same time, as you said before, you need to focus on what's in front of you at this moment in time. So I think it's going to be a really interesting journey over the course of the season, seeing how you both, inspire one another. Is that something that you're looking forward to, playing alongside him for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, me and Hassan, we feed off of each other. He was coming back from his injury, so I didn't get to play with him too much. But as soon as Hassan was back in, he brings energy and he brings, like, you can hear him on the field. He brings a lot of intensity to the game. So, I love playing with anyone that's like that. And we'll feed off each other. I'll get into a challenge. He covers me, same thing, vice versa. And, the guys around us can feel it, and it helps the team overall. So when you have a solid foundation, everything going forward is easier. And that's what we kind of try and bring to the team.
We've touched on the fact that you're coming into a new team, and it might be a new system with new coaches, and you're more concerned about being part of that system, rather than playing the way that you've played before, per se. But your style of play, are you a centre-back that likes to hit the ball forward? Do you like to play it around the back a little bit, or like a bit of a mixture of both? What's your style when you're on the ball?
Yeah, no, I say it's kind of a mixture. I like to look for the long balls, but at the same time, I like to keep possession, play into the gaps. I like to play forward, and when we have the ball, I want us to keep it. That's the main goal, and just play like attractive football, not just giving away and just doing things like that. So once we have it, I want us to keep it, first pass, regain possession, and just look for, the right passes into the right spots to create plays. So that's kind of how I am with the ball.
I just had it in my head for a second that you might be, so you're either going to be one of those defenders that, like you say, pass the ball around nicely, look for a long ball when it's on, or you're going to be like Joel Matip and just get the ball and run like a gazelle down the pitch, sort of thing. I just in my head I had that picture of you doing that.
If someone's giving me the space, then there's been times where I've tried to take it forward and bomb on, and if someone's really testing me and staying off, then I say you guys might have to defend me a bit tighter, because I'm going to go with the ball if you give me the opportunity.
So you're making me
the Canadian.
You're making me want to put you in my team.
In one.
You're making me want to put you in my team.
To you?
Like, genuinely, it's like a £4.5 million Joel Matip mixed with Virgil van Dijk sort of thing going on.
What more could you ask for?
Yeah. No, I mean, sure. I'm really looking forward to seeing you and HamKam play. As me and James have said, HamKam are going to be the team that, outside of Christiansen and Rosenberg, they're the team that we really want to do well this season. Obviously we've got
second team, the podcast team.
I mean, like we've got the connection with Tom, we've got the connection with you. I think it's pretty obvious that you are the team that the podcast is behind. I'm imagining there's going to be quite a few, but the cultural differences from Canada to Norway. I mean, for a start, first of all, how long have you even been in Norway for? How long is it now?
What is this? 3 months now?
3 months.
I came in January, so 3 months. Things are still pretty new, but I'm getting used to it. The biggest difference when I came here, obviously, was winter. The ice. There's so much ice. everywhere I'm walking, I have to be extremely cautious because, you know, they don't really use road salt. There's more so pebbles on the ground than road salt. So I think every single day I'm walking up to the car and I'm like slipping and I'm like, ah, shoot. But yeah, other than that, you know, everyone's just been nice. There's a big price difference in things. It's a very expensive country. So, you know, I went and I'm buying groceries and I'm like, back home, I wish I had bought this and brought it here because then I would have been saving money. But no.
Every time you go back to Canada, you have to bring yourself like a whole stock home.
And, yeah, for sure. Gonna have to stock up and bring a lot of stuff back with me. But no, you know, there's not really been any big cultural difference for me. You know, I'm a pretty easygoing guy. I have a roof over my head. I'm going to the training field, have what I need. So, you know, it's about football right now. I don't really need any of the other outside distractions. And that's why I like it over here because, you know, I'm in a nice town, quiet, you know, just football, the team, guys around me. So, you know, good setup.
Obviously, you're over here from Canada. Are you missing home? Are you missing your friends and family? Like, do you have any pets or like a partner or anything that you're obviously like away from?
Yeah, you know, obviously, you know, I miss my family. I was living with my family back home in Canada. I talk to them like almost every day. And I have my dog over there, my little dog, little Morky. Yeah, I miss that guy. I was looking at pictures of him the other day. But you know, it's just it comes with the territory, you know. I just have to take it all in, and you know, I'm sacrificing a lot for an opportunity here to, you know, make a name for myself and
really to feed your family.
Yeah, for sure. Gotta feed my family. So, you know, that's kind of just how it is. And it's a sacrifice, but I'll see them eventually. If we get a break, maybe I'll go back and see them.
I know you don't get anything in life without a few sacrifices along the way, do you?
Yeah, for sure. So that's how it is. You know, I was talking to some of the other guys, and you know, some of the guys that are in the MLS now, experiencing something that they will never get to experience, being at a club where, you know, there's not as much money and it's not a big club, and I get to just take it all in and really just work for that next move or to move up in the ranks or get to where I want to be. So, you know, it really just helps, and you fall in love with the grind, fall in love with the journey. So that's just how it is for me. And I'm just enjoying every part of it, even the sacrifice. You know, I'm growing, I'm here cooking up all these dishes. I talk to my mom, well, how do you make this?
I was going to ask, like, what's the food like? Are you getting used to the local like cuisine, or are you still sort of eating similar stuff to what you're back home?
Yeah, it's a mixture. You know, I'm cooking for myself, so it's just a bit different. I want to say grocery shopping, it's a bit harder to find certain meats and stuff like that. But, you know, I've been managing and, you know, I've been pulling it off. One thing that I'm thankful for is that I actually packed some seasoning and spices and stuff from back home and brought it with me, because over here I couldn't find any. So I have it. So, you know, it's still a taste of home.
Sorry, I got my words muddled up. I meant to ask about you playing with Halvor. That's because all these names just merging into one. Yeah, because obviously going back to what I said about Halvor earlier on, how you give Halvor a bit of a kick up the arse because you know he's got that in him. Like you know he's got that potential there. So you're hard on him because you want to see him succeed, sort of thing. Does that bounce back off him onto you as well? Because obviously you're both quite young, and I mean, I think we're expecting it to be you, Halvor, and Hassan mainly as the three centre backs, but then you've got Kobe as well, and obviously Vetla. So there is a bit of competition in there.
Yeah, for sure.
That link that you have with Hassan, as you just touched on earlier, and obviously the connection that you have with Halvor, is that something that we're going to see reflected in the way that HamKam play? That you're going to be playing out from the back, like as a compact unit, or is it more a case of there's going to be quite a few moving parts with that back line? Because obviously we're looking at it from a point of view as we're trying to think of who your three centre backs are going to be, and we know that Halvor can't play every single game. I think maybe the same about yourself. I don't know. You know,
no, for sure.
So I mean,
I definitely think you know, one thing that I know for sure about all the guys that are there defensively, all of the center backs, you know, we're all there to compete. we're pushing each other, and we all want the best for the team. So regardless if it's me, Hassan, Halvor, Vetla, whoever's in, you know, we're all comfortable playing with each other. If it's here on the left side, right side, in the center, all of us can play. So, you know, that's not a problem, a matter of the personnel, a matter of who's in. It's just, you know, whatever lineup's there, we're going to go to war and we're going to compete. So, yeah, the most important thing is just being a unit, like you said, and just strong defensively and just feeding off of each other. Because, you know, there's going to be our days where, say, I might not be at my best and say Hassan's not at his best and vice versa. But, you know, if we can pick each other up and just make sure we're strong as a unit, you know, there's not going to be any problems.
And that goes back to what Tom was saying about how all the clubs that he's been at have been like this really strong familial unit. And it's no different at HamKam. HamKam is a good group of players. You've got that.
Exactly.
You've got that bond between everybody, whether it's someone who's 34 or whether someone who's 17, you know, you all see each other as equals and peers. And, you know, you're really committed to the idea of being a team in every single game rather than being a bunch of individuals.
For sure.
Was that the same sort of experience that you had at Toronto and previous clubs, or is this a new sort of experience for you?
Yeah, one thing I definitely can say is, you know, the biggest difference here is, I'd say, like the Eagles. Being at Toronto, when you have certain players that, you know, you have your designated players, which are, you know, your big time players you're paying big money to. Obviously, you know, there's a hierarchy there, and it's different for like younger players. Like I remember in training sessions, it's like, you know, you can't touch this guy and take it easy. So, you know, it kind of, I don't know if I want to say takes away from the training, but you're not really training how you usually would or going all out, because in a sense, you know, you have to, kind of take it easy in this challenge and kind of manage it. So here, that's the biggest difference I want to say, where, you know, over there you have your big money makers and guys that have played at big clubs coming in, and then, you know, you're still starting off your career. So you kind of have to just have that in mind.
Yeah. But that is actually leading us on to the next question that I've been looking at. Obviously, Michael Bradley is probably one of the biggest names over there. Been at so many big clubs. Obviously, he joined from Roma about 7-8 years ago, I think. Now, the biggest name that you got at HamKam is probably going to be Christian Eriksen. Like, what are the differences in personalities between them? Because they're both... I know Bradley's a lot older. I know he's more experienced and everything, but in terms of like a talismanic player, obviously Tom described Christian as not being the X factor of the club, but being the soul of the club. You know, and everything moves through him. Was it a similar sort of thing with Bradley, or?
Yeah, I'd say it's a similar thing. One big similarity between both of those guys is just the work that they put in. You know, they're always working. Eriksen and Bradley, you know, you go into the facility and you see these guys, everything they do, you know, they're doing it with like all of their effort. They're going at 100%. You see them in the gym, whatever it may be, you know, they're just going after it. And they really, you know, take pride at, you know, in being at the club and just leading by example. That's one thing about Mike, you know, every single day I go in, you know, he's there early, one of the last guys to leave, and, you know, he just makes sure everyone's good, and just he makes sure he puts he shows a good example for the rest of the guys that are there, that regardless of how old he is, he's still going to be doing what he has to do and extra to make sure that he got the level he needs to. And Eriksen kind of, you know, takes up the same type of characteristics, because, you know, since I've came in here, every single gym session I've seen Eriksen, this guy's going all out, might be lifting the most, and he's just pushing you to, like, I looked over and I'm like, shoot, this guy's squatting that much? And then I'm there, I'm like, shoot, I need to put some more plates on here. So, you know, he pushes you to be better in that sense. But yeah, both of them, just every single time they have the jersey on.
In terms of Bradley and those leadership qualities, just how much of a positive impact has that had on your attitude and your outlook of football and your own development?
Yeah, no, one thing with Mike, he's great with everyone. So for me, you know, I know being somewhat out of the squad, not playing as much, he always made sure to check in on me, and just, you know, he would remind me when I'm doing well and just, you know, keep pushing. And obviously sometimes things aren't going your way, but he just made sure that he just told me, you know, I'm doing well, just keep going and things will just fall into place eventually. So Mike's a great guy and I respect him so much on and off the field. So yeah, thank him a lot.
So Lorenzo Insigne just moved to your old club from Napoli. I mean, that's a huge signing. And is it one of those things? He's obviously just joined as you've left. Does that? What are your feelings about that? Because I bet at some level you're thinking, oh, it would have been great to train with him, but then at the same time you're thinking, well, I need first team football. I want to be playing football. That's my main focus.
Yeah. So of course, obviously, playing with the world class player like that, it'll be great. But at the same time, I have to focus on myself and know what is the main priority here. Is it to play with, a guy like that, or, do what I have to do now to eventually be playing with other top players?
Exactly.
And, I thought that was the step I need to take.
Exactly.
But, I think it's going to be great. Definitely great for the club, great for the league. He's going to come in for the younger guys to, get to play with him and just learn from him. Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? You have to make that decision. Are you playing football for yourself or other people? And if you're playing for yourself, just like Malkerson, when he left Glimt to go and play at Hibs, he's doing that because he wants to play football. He wants to play first team football. He doesn't care who's around him because he's like, well, I'm going to be playing football for me. And I think you've got a very similar vibe, in you as well. It's interesting to me, and I thought this would be the case because obviously Tom's involved, and it does seem to be that Tom has this knack for being around those kind of players that stand out because they are entirely focused on the right things. They're not distracted by, the money side of the game. They're more focused on, well, how do I become the best version of myself as a footballer? That's by playing the game. That's by getting first team football.
Whatever service I'm playing on, whenever I'm playing on it, whenever any country in the world, I'm just going to go there. I'm going to play football to the best of my ability, and that's the thing that's at the forefront of both of your minds.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it was.
So I was speaking to Tom about your most recent friendly, and and he said to me, so we were talking about you, and your height might have cropped up because you're not exactly the shortest guy going. And obviously me and James play fantasy football. So I've been interested in having you in my team. I'm not just saying that because you're on. It is true. Because you're 4.5 million. So you're $500,000 cheaper than Vegard, right? And I was thinking, similar to Gustav Vausvik, you're quite tall, set pieces, get a header in every now and then, sort of thing. I was told that you almost scored against Godse.
I know. I saw your message. And you're like, oh yeah, you score a goal, you're gonna be my team. I went to Tom after, I'm like, shoot, man. Charlie told me this. I was trying to get into that squad. But no, I definitely think like from the fantasy side, I think definitely a good pick. That's one thing I'm taking pride in. I want to score more goals. Trying to be like a Van Dijk, a threat on attacking set pieces. So that's really what I want to do, and it didn't happen against, Godse, but in the season, it's going to be happening. I'm going to have some goals.
I'll hold you to that then. I mean, Tom was saying that it is something that you're working on every week, like trying to, work on corners and set pieces and stuff, because it's another weapon, isn't it? It's another weapon, having a couple of big guys in there, throw the ball in, get your head on it. That's a goal from an unlikely source. So I think we're going to see it happen over the course of the season. There's potential there for you to come into my team. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start off the quick-fire questions with some fantasy football-related ones, and then we'll move on to the more general Elite Syrian questions in a bit.
Best value for money. Who are we thinking?
I'd probably say someone from HamKam. Not too many of our guys are valued too high.
Well, you're 4.5. You're 4.5 million, and you've already said that you're going to be, basically a Canadian Norwegian version of Van Dijk. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah, I'll put myself there.
Yeah,
I'll put myself there.
Okay. Yeah.
The confidence. I love it.
Brilliant.
I might have to change my team.
I know, right?
I've got buddy Vegard Kongsro in there at the moment. Might have to do a little switch later.
Yeah, exactly. I'm liking the confidence. It's 500,000 freed up potentially.
Yeah, for sure. How about a team to triple up on? Team that you would want to have as many of their players in your fantasy side as possible?
I'd have to say between Boda and Mulder. Those guys, they're ballers. They're ballers. We played against them, obviously, in our friendly. And it's not going to be like that in the season, but they have some top players.
Yeah.
They have some top players. So, you can never go wrong having players from that squad.
Best pick in the entire league?
Best pick?
What are you saying?
I've been watching Bodo and, Ola Solbakken, top player. He's a baller. He's a baller. I've been watching this guy and I'm like, I remember against Roma when Mourinho was just saying this guy's like a motorcycle and So
he's an insane player.
100%. Yeah, don't have to say much about him. You guys see what he does. So he's definitely a top pick.
Exactly. I mean, he's one of those players that if you have him in your team over Pellegrino or Vetterson, no one's going to be batting an eyelid over that. He's like Serie A quality player.
Sure.
He's far better than the Elite Syrian. As much as we love the Elite Syrian,
it's incredible that he's still here.
Yeah. I think he's showing his commitment to the club to help and push on in Europe, I think, to be fair. I think that's the biggest thing. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves in the summer, though. But I think he stands out to me as someone that we should be targeting. And it's a little bit concerning that I don't have him in my own team. So I did say to myself, if Ole is still here at the start of the season, he has to go in. He has to go in my team straight away. And I'm looking at my team and I'm thinking, but I like Hugo more because he's cheaper.
You said this about Esbjørn as well. The second you saw his price, you were like, oh, well, there's absolutely no doubt I'm not having him in my team. Is he there now? Of course not.
This is why I'm not very good at fantasy because I keep changing my mind. I'm not very good at it. I see something, I was, I'll go to him. And I have it in my head that he's going to do well. And then, but if I take him out, then he's definitely going to get a hat trick. So I keep him in and he gets sent off in the first 10 minutes or something. And I'm just like, ridiculous.
Well, we wanted to give you 30 seconds on time to sell yourself to all the fantasy managers out there listening. Why should you be in their team going into this season?
Strong, tall, physical defender, like 1v1 situations, put me in a 1v1. I fancy myself to come out with the ball, clean sheets, and, aerial threats. So, you put me in the box, Elite Syrian in the season, you're definitely going to have some goals. So that's all I got to say.
I expect you're going to be hearing a lot on your Twitter messages or your notifications. Going to be like, if you score a goal, you're going to just see. But your people are going to love you if you're in their team. That's all that matters to some people. That should be on your mind when you're popping in headers. Keep that in your mind. The fantasy players out there cheering with you.
Yeah. No, I'm going to have a celebration dedicated to you guys. Now that we spoke about it, I'm going to have to throw something up.
Amazing.
Something like this for the reindeer. Then you guys will remember, huh?
Get that on there. Yeah, for sure. Straight in our teams after that.
Okay.
HamKam, from what you've seen so far, who do you think will be the best fantasy player in their squad this season?
In HamKam, can I say Eriksson?
I literally have in my notes in front of me, if you say Eriksson, who else? That is literally what I've written down because it was that predictable, and absolutely.
I'd say Jonas, score goals. In Obas, you saw what he did, scored tons of goals. And he continues to do it. Last game, late in the game, wins the game for us. So, it's all about getting him the service, but, he's a world-class, finisher. He can finish almost anything. What game was it when we were playing and he scored like the chip from half? I'm like, yeah, I just was clapping from back.
I've seen that goal. It's crazy.
Crazy. Just the awareness, like he just brought it down and just like perfect right over the goalkeeper.
He's one who's going a bit under the radar as far as
he's under the radar, but he's a baller. Definitely.
If you haven't considered him yet, you're hearing it from a good source here that he's going to do well this season. And okay, so moving away from fantasy football, now we've got you convinced to join our league for next season. The most important thing covered. In the Elite Series, who do you think is going to have a breakthrough year? Who are you backing?
I think one of the other players from Molde, Dacho Fofana.
Yeah, Fofana,
their striker. He's a pretty solid player. Yeah, good in the box. I think, and he's strong. I went up against him and, he's a strong player. So I definitely think he can have a crazy season.
Who are you most afraid of or wary of playing against this season? Like, what attacking player stands out to you as someone that you might have a bit of a tricky time with?
Yeah, I'd definitely say Borrenga, their little crafty winger they have there. He's a pretty crafty player, so that's how to pronounce him. Sahuri?
Yeah, we're not the right people to ask that.
But
every time.
Yeah. But no, he's a pretty crafty player, So I went up against him a couple of times and I saw what he could do. So he's good with the ball.
Yeah.
And when he does step over, he's pretty quick. So
I think
he's a good player. But
I think the thing that goes against him is we touched on this in the other episode. His size, he's not the biggest guy around.
Once he gets the ball, say he gets past me, I'm just putting my body into him, and then that's kind of how it's gonna go. But
exactly,
he's definitely on the ball. He's coming at you. Might not be the quickest, but he's definitely skillful. So,
is there any player in the Elite Series that you'd specifically like to play alongside in the future? Whether that be in a centre-back partnership or just an attacking player you'd love to have to be able to pass the ball to and trust that they're just going to run the length of the pitch and score.
Well, obviously, I mentioned him before. I really think highly of Ola Sobak, and I think he's a baller. I just send him balls and he's just gone. He's going 1v1, taking you on, crossing to the box or finishing himself. So, he'll be a good player to play against.
So obviously I know we joked about it, but you are welcome back at any time, and I'm sure our listeners would love it as well. It's always nice hearing from somebody involved in the sport, as you are. We really didn't expect to have a professional footballer on our second episode, so I think we've done pretty well. So you coming back is definitely on the agenda. But no, you've been a really great guest. We've really enjoyed speaking to you and getting your insight into the game. And as we said before, you're going to be one of those players that we're going to be paying special attention to, especially if you're on my fantasy team. I'm expecting goals. Okay.
No, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys taking the time to speak to me. All credit to you guys. Great setup, great podcast. Asked some great questions. We had, an amazing back and forth. So I'll definitely be back, and I'll be back with some more goals for your fantasy team.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Just make sure you get me on that squad. But no, I'll definitely be back. And I just want to say thank you guys. You guys have a great thing going on. And, if you ever need anything, don't be afraid to ask.
Really appreciate that. And I know you mean it because you've been really good, on email and whatnot, and for us to set this up and that. I know that you're really busy. I know that Tom's really busy, but it says a lot about a lot of people that we've reached out to. You're all really busy. You've got really tight schedules, but you still find the time to speak to us. And they're the kind of people that we want to speak with anyway. So it's worked really well with our setup. I think we got a bit lucky, but we will take it and we'll go on with it. And obviously, if we come over to Norway to watch a game, we'll give you the heads up.
Yeah, let me know.
Lovely stuff.
I'll have your tickets.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
And we look forward to having you back at the end of the season when you can say, I told you so to all those people who didn't put you in their teams.
Exactly.
We'll see how that goes.
Brilliant. I think that is it.